Today's episode of the Get Your Comic On podcast may contain mild spoilers for the movies, shows, comic books, and games that we're discussing. And, if you're lucky, there might be some PG-13 language. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. Hey, super friends, my name is Neil, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the Get Your Comic On podcast. Thanks again to everyone who has reached out and shared the love of us having come back. This is our third episode, and I'm really excited to dive into what has been a kind of pretty awesome week, particularly for trailer fans this week. And I also have a brand new co-host joining me this episode. So today I am being joined by a first-time co-host for the podcast. I was like, I need to write something zippy, but I ended up just writing from the heart. So I said, he is my film bestie and someone that I have wanted to collaborate with for ages until I recently got to appear on This Week in Geek with him. So please welcome Ren to the podcast. Everyone, Ren, how you doing?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm very good. I'm very excited because we got a lot of trailers this week,
I
very fun
know.
trailers,
Yeah.
and always good to talk about Spider-Man, our
Yep.
friendly neighborhood
So
hero.
for those who are watching on YouTube, you can see that the two of us are decked out in Spider-Man t-shirts. For those of you listening, I have a little like collection of different Spider-Men and a Spider-Woman from across the years, and Ren is wearing
I
the
have
Infinite
the Infinity
Spiders.
Spiders.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's basically a parody, I guess, of the Infinity War or cover from the comics, but it's all the
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
it's very cool. I really like it.
Thank
Really
you
like
very
it.
much.
So we set up this episode because we were going to talk about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which we will get to in this episode, which is the brand new animated series that you can stream the first 5 episodes of now on Disney Plus. It's going to be airing for a couple more weeks for the rest for the episode 6 to 10. But then Marvel and Universal and kind of everyone actually decided that they were going to throw us off course a bit. We suddenly got the news that it was likely we were going to see Fantastic Four as a trailer for the Super Bowl, and then Jurassic World, perhaps. And yeah, suddenly the week just got sidetracked by trailerness. So we sort of changed the episode a bit. So we're going to be talking about two of those two trailers. I did wonder about whether we talked about Final Destination Bloodlines, but then I was like,
Hmm.
nah, we need more time on
Yeah.
Fantastic Four and Jurassic World. And then we're going to
Also,
dive
it's
in.
just a one scene, so the scene is cool.
I'm going to be
Thumbs up.
completely honest. I haven't actually watched that trailer yet.
Oh, fair. It's just one scene from the movie. That's
Okay.
it. You basically see an entire sequence, and that's it.
It didn't really grab me with the fact that the teaser for how everyone has to have a teaser for a trailer now
Yeah.
was literally just like 5 seconds of a spinning fan. I'm like, okay,
It'll make sense if you do end
when
up
you watch
watching
it.
the actual teaser, but that is pretty stupid out of context.
I was like, okay, it's gonna drop or blood is gonna spatter or something,
It never
but
drops. It never drops. Not even in the actual scene.
so yeah, that's we have major trailers to talk about. So let's just dive in. Let's dive straight in. Fantastic Four, first steps. Finally, Marvel's first family have returned to Marvel Studios, and this is going to be the first time we're seeing them on the big screen in a little while. I don't know if you even want to refer to the last film as the Fantastic Four being on screen, so maybe we haven't seen them since Jessica Alba was on the team.
Nope. I definitely haven't seen them since the first time I went to a cinema in London before I even lived here. That was my first experience in a cinema in London was Fantastic in
Wow, fan
2015.
Fortic. Yeah,
I was
I
here.
don't think I saw it at the cinema, you know.
You are luckier than I am if you did.
I've got a feeling that I was so aware that it probably wasn't going to live up to any form of hype whatsoever that I didn't go see it at the cinema.
I just remember that I was here for like 3 or 4 days. And then the reviews came out on like our
Yeah.
second day, and they were so terrible. As soon as I saw the reviews, I'm like, okay, I need to go see this. I cannot wait. We need to go see this while we're here. And the highlight was really going to the view and seeing a life-size statue of the thing on our
Yeah.
way to the screening, but that's it.
Well, so this new version, definitely from this trailer at least, looks like it's going to be a lot more exciting, a lot more authentic. Just to run off the essentials for anybody that doesn't know. So this one stars Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, Joseph Quinn making the jump from Stranger Things and A Quiet Place to play Johnny Storm, Human Torch, and Ebon Moss-Backrack as Ben Grimm, the Thing. Also stars Julia Garner, who we don't get to see in this trailer, as Silver Surfer. Ralph Ineson as Galactus, Natasha Lyonne, who is not confirmed yet who she is playing, but I do wonder whether she might end up being just the beeps of Herbie. Um,
Yeah.
Paul Walter Hauser, John Malkovich, and also on IMDb as Sarah Niles. Don't know who she's playing. Uh,
No.
I'm always a bit dicey reading IMDb cast lists just in case I start shouting about someone who isn't actually in it or is randomly in it as like person number three, but has put it on their IMDb. It's directed by Matt Shackman and writing credits. The screenplay is by Peter Cameron. The script is by Josh Friedman, Jeff Kaplan, Eric Pearson, and Ian Springer. So we've got a few writers on board for it.
Okay. Yeah.
But this first look was so massively hyped, like massively hyped. It feels like it's been coming forever. There was the previs stuff that they showed at San Diego Comic-Con last year, none of which made it into this trailer. This is all actual footage from the film, from what I can understand. But this is it. This was our first official look at Fantastic Four First Steps. What were your initial thoughts on this?
I am absolutely in love with this trailer. I love the look, I love the feel, the whole vibe and aesthetic of it. Really brought into a world where it just forget about the fact that it looks good on its own, but
Yeah.
just feels so uh opposite to anything the MCU is and
Mm.
has always been. If you want to tell the people without actually saying the words like this is separate, this
Yeah.
trailer is all you need to show. Um, I love the way they talk to each other. I love the ideas that they're debating in this trailer where Reed is carrying the emotional load of what happened to them and he
Yeah.
blames himself and you see everyone else sort of living with it, and that's just pure Fantastic Four in the comics. Even the music, how it swells up to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good. I've watched that trailer on repeat. I've not gotten tired. Galactus looks great. I
Mm.
really love the tease that we get for him. And I think this is everything that the teaser needed to do. Don't worry about villains, like
Yeah.
actual villains. Don't worry about like telling us what the story is. Show us that you understand the Fantastic Four. And as far as I'm concerned, they did in this trailer, like from beginning to end. Here they are, and I cannot wait for it's my most anticipated film of the entire year. Cannot wait for July 25th, 24th, something like
25th.
that. It's 25th. Cannot wait. We're probably gonna see it before then, hopefully.
We cross our fingers. Yeah, it's I know I said this. I did feel like I wanted something more, but I can't tell you what it is that I want from it. I think I actually just got so hyped, like so majorly hyped that I'm not sure anything they could have done could have quite lived up to my expectations. But that's not to say that there was anything about it that I didn't enjoy because I love every freaking second of it. And I was just watching it again before we logged into the call. I've watched it several times a day, possibly several times an hour, since it released. And
I'm the same.
it's grown on me a lot actually. But that sounds like I was disappointed by it. I wasn't disappointed. I just felt like I think I just wanted like the whole movie, like straight
Yeah,
away. Like
that's fair.
just like give me all of it. Because I loved the Fantastic Four cartoons when I was a kid. Um, I'm not going to, but I'm pretty sure I could sing you the theme tune from the 90s
I,
version.
I I'm singing it in my head right
Yeah.
now.
It just, even though it's not, I don't feel like it's a cartoon that everyone knows, but I feel like if
No.
you know it, you know that theme tune.
Mhm.
But the thing that struck me straight away was how much, and you just touched on it, was how it doesn't feel like anything else Marvel, particularly right now Marvel. It's so different and so stylish, and I love that about it. There is interesting point though. I feel like from watching it straight away, you know this isn't our Earth. This is
Yeah,
not
100%.
616. You know, the buildings are different. doesn't look like our New York. It doesn't have anything from the rest of the MCU in it. It feels very separate to me. But I have genuinely seen people on social media being like, "Huh? So they were in the 60s?" And there's I've even seen people having to go and do breakdowns of the Illuminati scene from Multiverse of Madness
Ah.
because when Doctor Strange meets Reed Richards in that, he makes a joke about the Fab Four and says, "Did you have a hit single in the 60s?" Which is obviously about the Beatles. He's talking about the Beatles. They were known as the Fab Four. They were big in the 60s. But people are like, "Oh, he was talking about this. He was talking about this Fantastic Four because they're his Fantastic Four." But then that doesn't look like our New York. So there are people that don't realize it's in an alternate universe. But I do feel like the trailer makes it really clear, and I think that has given them the chance to do some awesome like production design. I love the retro 60s House of the Future style apartment that they're living in. Like in that first shot when it's in the different aspect ratio, as the cake's like lifting up randomly so that they
Yes.
can grab a slice and stuff. It's so like Jetsons to me. It
Mhm.
reminds me of watching like the Jetsons as a kid and stuff like that. And it just, I don't know, it has a magic. There's like a magic to it that I've not felt from a Marvel trailer for a while.
I think that's the perfect word to describe it. It's magic where, and I think I really like that Superman, the new Superman, and this movie are coming out at the same time because you look at the Superman trailer, it's very much like this version of Superman is kind of what the world needs right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and the world where Superman is as well. Whereas the Fantastic Four, it's kind of the same as Superman, but like they've helped build that idealistic, that magical,
Mm.
like wondrous world that they now helped evolve and become a retro-futuristic 1960s in
Yeah.
this alternate universe. Because you see that purity and them being celebrities and adored by the masses, and kids are wearing like Ben Grimm
Yeah.
face masks, and it looks like the film is set on Halloween. So that's
Maybe,
got to
yeah.
be somewhat interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and I just love that these two movies are like trying to capture that more childlike wonderment
Yeah.
and ideal of superheroes and what superheroes should be.
Yeah. And obviously we haven't seen that we have two more Marvel movies to get through before we
Mhm.
get there, which is kind of crazy to say. And neither of us
Insanely.
have seen Thunderbolts or Captain America yet, but they Thunderbolts maybe less so, but Captain America feels like a very Marvel movie,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of excited to see them do something different, which should be cool. And you're right, this is very much a teaser, so I still don't know what the story of this film is. I couldn't tell you what the story is other than like emotional beats that are in that trailer and studying fine details. So like clearly Reed is looking at multiverse theory because it's on his chalkboard and stuff like that. I
The
have
same
no
drawing
idea.
Tony Stark had in his like graphic thing, and then
Yeah, 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 it is, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
is. Which is why they think they're gonna lose. Galactus is eating their world, and they're just coming over to the MCU by the end.
Well, that's so there is a shot in this trailer which sees it's like all of them stood on the balcony looking pretty serious as the cloud like it's clearly at night the sky is raining fire.
Yeah.
Um yeah, that doesn't bode particularly well.
Nope. I think that's the Herald of Galactus coming out for the first time to tell them you're going to die.
Yeah. I Ooh, where do I go next? I was going to say, did you want to see Silver Surfer in this, or do you like that they've held her back for later?
I
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
such
think
a
that
tough question.
exactly. I don't think the teaser needed her.
Mm.
Like, would have I complained if they did? I wasn't gonna be like, oh, why did they show the Silver Surfer in a teaser trailer? That's an no. I would have eaten it up. But them not showing the Silver Surfer, I think it keeps the focus precisely on let's just establish that we got the
Yeah,
Fantastic Four right,
yeah,
like the actual Fantastic Four in this trailer, and we don't need anything else. And then give us a little bit glimpses of the world. Here's a cool shot of Galactus from the back. Here's a
yeah.
cool shot of John Malkovich, so everyone can argue who he's playing, even though that's not the focus of the film. Uh,
No,
no, but
definitely
I
not.
like that they were spearheaded in their focus and didn't add too much because like adding the Silver Surfer could be a spice of if you add a Silver Surfer, it'd be a case of people going, "Oh, we didn't have enough Silver Surfer."
Yeah.
So I think they played it wisely and being very reserved with how out there they go. Because, like you said, we don't so many like famous faces and names that are playing characters in this film, and
We
they
didn't see
they
them.
don't show up in the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. You already touched on it, but I do the dynamic between the four of them feels great. We don't it when I watched it the first time, it almost felt slightly imbalanced towards Thing because we spent so much
Mhm.
time seeing Thing and Herbie in the kitchen, visual effects on Thing.
Oh,
Um,
so good.
but then the more I rewatch it, the more I'm like, actually, you get a lot of Sue. You get a good idea of her relationship with Reed. You get a bit of an idea of her relationship with Johnny as well. I mean, you even get a great idea of what her relationship with Thing is like, which I don't really feel like any other version of them on film has really touched on.
No.
I think the only one who maybe you don't get a lot of is Johnny. You get to see him flying, at least. You get to see Flame On, but I don't feel like we got a great sense of who he is as a person just yet.
Yeah, I think we got like good looks at him in action and
Yeah.
for his powers, and we get told about what he's like as a person, but we don't
See
get
it.
it from the
Yeah.
trailer directly. Yeah, I agree with you for sure.
Doesn't seem like we're quite leaning into the sort of Chris Evans version. Not sure
No,
they're all going to be covered in sponsorship or anything anytime soon.
no. And even if this Johnny is still very much a douchebag, at least Joseph Quinn looks more age appropriate to be that like he doesn't get what he's actually doing or how he's actually coming across. Whereas Chris Evans, I know he was actually the age he was supposed to play, or somewhat he was. Like he looked like such a grown man that it was embarrassing for that Johnny Storm to act the way he was.
I suppose we could be living in a world where his version. Well, actually, I suppose maybe not because of what happened to him in Deadpool and Wolverine, but they could at some point they could actually share the screen.
Yeah, it's possible. Time travel.
Before we move on to the next one, I do definitely want to touch on one more thing from this trailer. Costumes. What do we think of the look of the Fantastic Four suited up?
I love them. I love these costumes so much. They look like the inner suits that astronauts actually wear.
Yeah.
But I also don't think these are going to be their final suits, even in
Hmm.
this one movie.
Yeah.
I think that final shot we got in the trailer, it's a perfect shot to end the trailer on. Let's face it. It's so good. Um, I think that's like what we see in like flashbacks or however that because it's not an origin story. We know it's
Yeah.
not an origin story, but I think we'll get because we do see pictures and they talk about it in the trailer. Like I think we're gonna see flashbacks to when
Yes, I think so
they
too.
they gain their powers, and I think that final shot in the trailer is right before that first space odyssey up there, and they're gonna get other suits somehow, some way. Who's gonna design them? I don't know, but I really love. They also look, for the first time perhaps in any superhero movie, Neil, they look very comfortable to wear and very
They
warm.
do. No, they do. They actually, yeah, they look kind of comfortable in them, and they do. Yeah, it does not look like anyone was complaining about what they were wearing.
At all. And it looks like you can easily unzip them to go to the toilet if you need to.
Now, I know this is completely unrelated to the trailer, but it is still Fantastic Four. How do we think they're going to end up in the MCU on 616?
Mm. I think Reed, it's got to be Reed because it's not
It
going to
has
be
to
anyone
be.
else.
Unless it
Or
happens
maybe,
by some complete fluke.
I mean, it's either Reed or his bestie slash frenemy, Doctor Doom,
Yeah,
Victor. Um, because how incredible would it be for the Reed to spend the entire film trying to figure out how to open that multiverse portal, only for Victor to be the one to open it,
yeah,
um, in the end, and saving them all, even though he leaves their planet behind. So most people die still. Um, yeah, but I think that's it. I think there's gonna be that, and that's why we see that one shot in this first teaser because it's one of the most important things. He's just gonna be trying to figure out multiverse to figure out maybe if he can find a cure, and then oh no, we have to leave the planet because otherwise we'll die. Um,
yeah,
I think that's it. I think that's it. I'm not willing to bet if it is Victor that opens the portal, but I am willing to bet that that's how they get from there to here. to the other there to 616, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I it's going to be interesting. So I agree. I think the same thing. The only thing I wonder is if it was anyone else playing Doom, if it was a different actor,
Mhm.
I feel like he would have been not the same, but similarly characterized to almost the Julian McMahon version from the noughties movies. And that maybe Reed had figured out a way to travel across the multiverse, and that this version of Doom just hops along for the ride to save himself selfishly. But if Robert Downey Jr. is going to be more of a cameo in this and not going to be a kind of present version of Victor, it doesn't quite fit as much. So I don't. It's so difficult to call it, which I like. I don't feel like it's going to be predictable whatsoever.
No, I'm the same. Which, by the way, can you imagine if it wouldn't be possible in this day and age, but imagine if they had not revealed who's playing Doctor Doom next
Can you
year and we're
imagine?
watching this trailer like, where's Doom? And then we get to the movie, like, where's Doom? And they just talk about him the whole film, only to get to the point where they show him and it's Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, because of
That would
course
have
they don't
been
know.
an
They don't know we know
incredible.
him as Tony
Yeah,
Stark.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
Although, I mean, in theory, we have never seen anything of him on set. We don't know if he's in this
True.
film or not. They've never actually said he's in it. I mean,
Mhm.
there are plenty of set photos of someone in a cloak, which could very easily probably be him. But
Mhm.
they could have done it, and we would have all lost our shit.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been Endgame level falling off chairs, screaming in the cinema
Yeah.
if that mask came off and it was him.
Oh,
Well, we will find out on July the 25th when it finally hits cinemas.
it cannot get here fast enough.
No, and that's the thing because the other trailer that we're going to be talking about is for another part of what they are calling Super Jurassic July.
Super
Super
Jurassic.
Jurassic July. I had to have that on screen because I was like, "There's no way I can say it," because we have Jurassic World Rebirth on July the 2nd, Superman on July the 11th, and then Fantastic Four on July the 25th. So the other massive trailer that we got this week was Jurassic World Rebirth. Our first look. This feels like it's been coming forever as well.
Yeah.
I know it's not like they shot this ages ago and we've been waiting for it, but it just feels like I've been waiting for a trailer for forever, especially since the AI version came out. And I'm disappointed that Scarlett Johansson didn't mutate into a dinosaur in this final trailer
Yet.
yet. I'm totally here for it. I'm totally here for it. Uh, so, so Jurassic World Rebirth. This was less of a teaser and more of a let's show you a bit of a hit reel of what's happening in this film. However, and it does, I guess, reveal a lot more story. I do feel like I know a lot more about this film, but I'm also very, very excited for it. So this one is directed by Gareth Edwards. Uh, Based again on stories by Michael Crichton. David Koepp, who wrote the original Jurassic Park, is back to write the script for this film. Stars Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, Rupert Friend, Ed Skrein. I didn't realize Ed Skrein was in it. Mahershala
Me
Ali.
neither.
Um, yeah, he's at the very end of the press release that came out yesterday.
Okay, is he in the trailer at all?
Nope.
Okay, that's
Very
fine.
end of the cast. So actually, if I was to read you the entire cast list from the press release that came out, which he says optimistically, like he can find it without having to fill for a couple of seconds, uh, starring Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey, Rupert Friend, Manuel Garcia Rolfo, Luna Blaze, David Ancono, Audrina Miranda, Philippine Velge, hope I pronounced that right, uh, Becca Sylvain, and Ed Skrein.
Huh.
Yeah, I feel like he slipped in there really quietly.
So I don't remember seeing an announcement or a
No.
tweet like on
And
discussing film or
because
whatever.
he's not in the trailer, there's no name for him either. So we know Scarlett Johansson is this Zora Bennett, Jonathan Bailey is Dr. Henry Loomis, Rupert Friend is Martin Krebs, and Mahershala Ali is Duncan Kincaid. That's all we know.
What a
Um,
cool name.
Duncan Kincaid. It's such
Ah,
a, I feel like that's such a randomly generic but also very powerful name.
but very 90s too. It's a
Yeah,
very 90s name.
like action. That is like a Duncan Kincaid stars in, or like
Exactly.
I don't know, Tom Cruise is Duncan Kincaid.
Kincaid. Dwayne Johnson is Duncan Kincaid.
Dwayne Johnson is Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne
Uh,
Johnson is Dwayne Johnson. Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Sorry, Dwayne. Sorry. Um,
We love you.
yeah. Right. First thoughts on this trailer. What did you think of it?
I liked it.
Hmm.
I came into this trailer. I was surprised, like you said, that it's a here's the story, everyone,
Yeah.
kind of trailer. But I liked it. I went into this trailer like wanting to be excited. I want to be excited for anything Jurassic in it.
Yeah. Me too.
But this is a franchise that now with six movies out has disappointed me half of the time they put movies out. So they don't have the best track record. The last one wasn't even actually about dinosaurs, which was mind-boggling. So all I wanted from this trailer is show me that it's actually about dinosaurs. And that's what they did. The
So we
dinosaurs
did.
look great. I do love the cast that we got.
It's a great
We got
cast.
dinosaurs, we got people who are very good looking, and most of them hopefully will get eaten by a lot of these dinosaurs. Um, it's go. It has all the it has all the necessary. Here's some new elements to the story, and it
Yeah.
feels like a story that they're finding the right way to bring us back into the world where
Yeah.
let's not go back to the original island, let's not go back to Isla Sorna, let's find an island that was just a testing ground before they
Yeah.
even started with the park, which makes everything so much more dangerous. I love that we have people who are still stupid enough to say, hey, we're going to this dangerous territory where no one is crazy enough to go. Okay, let me bring my kid then.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see that kid hopefully get eaten. Because if you're gonna be stupid enough to bring your kid, you have to pay the consequences story-wise. But yeah, it was a fun trailer. I don't really care for any of these people. You just named all of the characters, and in my head, I'm going, Cole, Cole,
Yeah.
except for Duncan Kincaid. I love him, but everyone else, like, I don't care if all these people die. That's cool as long as they get eaten by a dinosaur on screen. The one I'm most curious about is Jonathan Bailey because I think they're gonna have him be Alan Grant's son or nephew
Ooh,
or something like that.
you
But I'm
think?
rambling now. What did you think of the trailer?
Ooh, that hadn't crossed my mind.
Yeah.
It would,
In the
yeah,
press
or it's
release,
like,
they say he's trying to impress Dr. Grant. They kind of know each other, so they're very vague about it.
interesting. I wonder if that means that Sam Neill's cameoing somewhere then.
I wouldn't mind as long as he's not
No.
stuck at Evil Apple headquarters again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know what? I actually enjoyed that film. But as much, well, yeah, no, I'm not that I'm
Fair.
expecting you to,
I wish
berate
I
me for
had.
it. The only thing, my massive issue with it is make a dinosaur movie or make a movie that's we're stealing the tech that was used to make the dinosaurs to do this other thing. Because trying to do both of those things in one does not work.
No,
So,
no.
like that, the whole storyline with the locusts and the impact that might have on the global ecosphere, I was like, that's cool. I'm interested. However, I'm not interested if it's to the detriment of the dinosaurs. And it
Exactly.
was definitely to the detriment of the dinosaurs. But this trailer, yes. It feels a bit back to basics. It feels like they've gone, do you know what? That didn't work. We can take some bits of what was done there and do something interesting because there is the weird, slightly overweight xenomorph mutant dinosaur in this trailer. Um, but it doesn't feel like we're being overloaded with this is what we can do with the technology. This feels like a back to basics, people versus dinosaurs. Sounds like they're trying to do a bit of a human interest story, like they think there's something they can do with the DNA
Yeah.
that could help use medical science and forward medical science. But in typical kind of Jurassic action movie style, it's a let's find our excuse to put some people, including some
Exactly.
kids, because why, on an island where they can get eaten and they can run around and be scared. And I know I put this in our group chat, but I do need to mention it because I just love it. It has the action movie mentality of I have this idea, it's going to look awesome, it makes no sense whatsoever. We can find a really, really random tangential way to make it work. I'm going to do it. So, yeah, we're going to go to this scientific research island and find a temple in the side of a mountain that looks like it's got carvings of dinosaurs in it. But you know what? They'll just go, this was the local people that we got rid of when we built our science facility. Um,
Exactly. We colonized again.
it looks awesome. It's fine. It's Indiana Jones meets Jurassic Park. What more?
Exactly. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah. I mean, it lit like Jonathan Bailey holding the egg in the random temple could not look more like it
Oh,
wants to be a scene from Indiana Jones.
yep. 100%.
I'm glad
And
that he's in on the action. I was worried he was going to be relegated to being in a lab somewhere or just
uh,
being a kind of I know like obviously Alan was always running from something or in the middle of it to a certain degree, but it feels like sometimes the science characters end up a little bit separated from it and sort of observing it more than being part of it, but him being dragged out of the cave and hanging from a rope at the bottom of a pterodactyl is everything I want from life at this point.
those are the moments these movies are for. If we don't get that,
Yeah.
what are we making these movies for?
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's not worth
I do feel like they've listened to the dinosaurs that people want to see as well,
it. Mhm.
because I feel like we've got a bit of a random mix. Like there is something that there is clearly a T-Rex in this trailer, but it doesn't feel like it's going, here's all the ones that you've loved before. It's more like, here are some dinosaurs that you might really like to see. Here are some really big, beautiful ones. Here's a pterodactyl.
Yeah, I
Do
think they give us glimpses of dinosaurs that have not. Maybe they've
Yes.
been in the movies, like we have one shot of this dinosaur or that dinosaur,
Mm.
but they've not been part of these legendary set pieces that everyone
Yeah.
discusses. Like the original has the raptors, has the T-Rex, but we have Spinosauruses in this one,
Yes.
Mosasaurus in this one, and Mosasaurus has gotten its love in Jurassic World. It has one of the
Yep.
best kills, but we need more. We
Yeah.
need more big dinosaurs and keep making mutant dinosaurs that make no sense. I'm gonna keep eating it up unless it's the Indoraptor from the Fallen Kingdom one.
That was, I think, my biggest issue with those films towards the end was that they were too distracted by fake dinosaurs
Yeah,
rather than I don't mind I genuinely don't mind them having them and the xenomorph Godzilla like type thing Ragnar looks great Rancor even but I don't want that to be the focus. I want the focus to be the thing that I wished I could have seen from a like a children's book or from science class
yeah.
that I'm never going to see alive because we don't have this technology yet. Like show me that. Don't show me a fake thing that you've made up because it's never going to be as cool.
I agree. I think the previous franchise or previous trilogy rather got way too lost in just doing that over and over again because it did in
Yeah.
the first one with the Indorex, which I honestly really enjoy
Yeah.
the Indorex or however we called it.
Indominus Rex.
Indominus Rex, that's it. And then it just kept, but what about this? And what
Yeah.
about this? And it's just the same trick over and over again, and it got very tired.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Because they gave it the context in Jurassic World, which was park numbers are falling, people want bigger dinosaurs, they want scarier, sharper teeth. So we've created this new thing. But then to be like, oh, by the way, we also made this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing.
yeah,
But it
it,
does at least make sense that there would be a facility somewhere where they were trying to do that where things may have gone wrong. So
exactly.
I kind of like that.
I agree.
I guess one of the big things with these trailers as well is how much does it look what you don't want to see is maybe like the last Transformers movie where it's great, but the VFX aren't great. You
Mhm.
could feel the lower budget of the last Transformers movie. That was the first example I could think of randomly. Whereas this trailer feels pretty big and the dinosaurs look great. I'm not worried about the visuals of this at all, having seen this.
No, I am not either because number one was like you said, the trailer itself looks great, but also just
Mm.
looking at the previous work of Gareth Edwards.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, the
He
man
knows how
knows
to
what
work
to
with
do.
VFX. He knows how to work with scale. He clearly knows how to work with color because the color in this
Mm,
trailer is
yeah.
beautiful. And also, perhaps for the first time since The Lost World, this trailer, this new Jurassic Park film, feels like it has a sense of fun and
Yeah.
wonder, which the other ones didn't, while still having all those elements of horror that naturally come with it as well, and those more heightened sequences. But there's a sense of fun here, like you said, with a temple, with Scarlett Johansson like rappelling down a
Yep.
cliff or a waterfall. There's just so much here that has been lost in the franchise since
Yeah. Agreed.
1997.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There's a line towards the end of the trailer. I think it's when they're on the boat, isn't it? Um, and I think the yeah the Mosasaur and the others are all swimming around the boat, and Jonathan Bailey kind of explains what's going on, and she turns around and she's like, "None of that sounds fun."
Yeah.
And you're like, yes, that's the kind of we're in the middle of this slightly horror-ish situation where we're probably going to get eaten alive, but at the same time we're in a big fun dumb movie.
Yeah.
So we need to bring some humor into it, but not in it sounds like I'm being I mean, I love Bryce Dallas Howard. I'm not the biggest fan of Chris Pratt. But I feel like with those two, it became a little bit too like caricature slapstick, whereas this feels like some light-hearted humor in amongst classic dinosaur chaos.
Yeah, here it feels like there's a group dynamic,
Yeah.
whereas the one joke they kept making with Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt felt like it's a bickering couple, but
Yeah.
they were never actually together on screen.
No, exactly. Exactly. Good. Well, I'm glad it sounds like we are both completely on board for this.
I
So,
I am I hope we get to the end of 2025 and this is one of my top 10 movies of the year. I wouldn't say I'm up there yet in terms of
yeah.
excitement, but
Yeah, yeah.
I hope I can say that for
Yeah,
sure.
me too. Me too. It's going to be great having those three films back to back. I think it's going to be really fun, and I hope that that makes July a really big month for cinema as well.
Same box office, like people talking about it. I guess we also need one more movie, right? Because we have
Yeah,
Jurassic on the second, Superman on the 11th,
we need something
a
in the middle.
a break of a week, and then Fantastic. We need something there. Something's got to take that spot,
Yeah.
but something exciting, please.
I'm glad that none of these three, as yet, we are only in February, so something could happen, but I don't think it will now that we have trailers for all three of them. I'm glad that none of the studios have gone, oh, we need to move further away.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if I hate to say Barbenheimer because it's not like any of these films are like an Oppenheimer, but the fact that they neither of those studios choked and moved one away,
Hmm.
I think we need to remember that, like you and I, there's no way that we wouldn't not see one of these movies.
No, you'd have
Like,
to pay me very a lot not to see any of these movies.
exactly. Even if they came out on the same day, I'm going opening weekend to all
Oh
of
yeah.
them. And I think some of the studios have kind of forgotten that, and they're like, "Oh, we can't have two big movies out at the same time because one will lose." And it's
Yeah.
like they might not. They might actually mutually benefit if,
Uh,
well,
I think cinemas should find a way to like make an event out of it where
yeah,
you offer, I don't know, a 20% discount if you buy three tickets to watch Jurassic and Superman and Fantastic Four all on the same day or on the same
yeah,
weekend, like something like that, like bring
yeah,
people into the films.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Uh, I guess we need to talk about the thing that we were here to talk about in the first place.
Yep.
That
Main event.
we t-shirted for the main event. Um, Your your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I don't know why, but I was going to say my friendly neighborhood Spider-Man then. He's my friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
He's
This
everyone's favorite.
he is everyone's friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
This one had a long journey to the screen. I'd kind of forgotten how long ago this one was announced and the fact that it was Spider-Man freshman year. And when it was announced, we all kind of thought, is this going to be Tom Holland? And it felt like it might be his origin story and it was going to be based in the MCU to where we are now, where Tom Holland is not involved. We are on a different Earth, but we are still witnessing some of the events of the MCU taking place kind of alongside what's happening with this Spider-Man in New York. Um, but first of all, I knew this, but I didn't have the fact completely straight in my head. But I knew going into this, I was like, I'm pretty sure Spider-Man must be the probably Marvel's character who's had the most different animated series, but had to be. I was like, who do I think are the characters who've had the most comic book to animation TV series? And I was like, it has to be Batman for a start because there are so many versions of Batman, and it has to be Spider-Man. Um, and so this is the 11th version of Spider-Man in an
Oh,
animated series.
okay.
So it starts with Spider-Man in 1967 to 1970, then Spider-Man 1981, 82, then Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends in 1981 to 1983, which is where he lived with
Iceman
Iceman and
and not Starfire because that's DC, but
Flame Lady.
Flame Lady. That's it. That's what we're gonna call her.
Then we have Spider-Man from 1994 to 1998, the absolutely incredible,
100%, the best one,
my favorite. Um, that's followed by Spider-Man Unlimited, which is basically Batman Beyond does Spider-Man.
but much worse.
Much worse. Spider-Man, the new animated series in 2003, because we finally started to put other words into the title other than Spider-Man, which is the was deemed to be a sequel to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but then went off canon. Spectacular Spider-Man, which I think is the last one I have seen before we get to Your Friendly Neighborhood. So that one was 2008, 2009. Ultimate Spider-Man 2012 to
I saw
2017.
that one.
We went back to Spider-Man 2017 to 2020, Spidey and His Amazing Friends 2021 to present, and now Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Oh my God, I forgot about that Spider-Man show you just mentioned.
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Never
Oh
watched
my
it.
God.
Yeah, I've seen the character designs for it. It's obviously
Yeah.
very young audience aimed at
Yeah, yeah. No, no, the other one, just Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't.
I forgot that one. I watched like the first two episodes and I was like, I'm done.
What, but it's an incredible legacy in animation, though, to go
It
all the way
is.
back to, I mean, that theme tune that everyone knows and is full circle moment, part of the theme tune to Your Friendly Neighborhood.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of spoiled it, but your favorite animated version of Spider-Man, other than, Into the Spider-Verse, your favorite TV animated Spider-Man?
90s. 90s. A hundred
90s.
percent 90s. I
Yeah.
watched that show entirely back to back from beginning to end so many times. So many iconic stories in that
Yeah.
show. Like it's bar none my favorite. Also, by the way, the third character in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, I said Starfire, but no, that's EC. Her name is Firestar. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
How about
Close.
you? What is your favorite Spider?
Yes,
Yeah.
90s, 90s all the way. Oh my God, my DVD box set is sitting down there somewhere. Um, it's so good and it just holds up so well as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were brave enough to do some like serialized storytelling as well, like over multiple episodes, it's just it is probably one of the only series that gets close to touching Batman the animated series.
Oh yeah.
And by far
Same with
Marvel's. Ooh,
yeah,
I was
same
gonna
with
say by
X-Men.
far Marvel's best cartoon. X-Men, yeah, like it's right up there.
Yeah, it's between those two or Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes for me.
Do you know that's one that I've seen bits of it, but I've never properly watched it.
It's an incredible show. It's so good. That does the exact same thing of like, oh, we're doing all these stories like very long ranging while also having these episodic tales that are very good and very comic accurate. But also
Cool.
very creative in
Watch
how
it.
they blend it up.
Nice.
I think it's on Disney Plus,
It's got to
and it's
be.
only two
Most of these
seasons.
Spider-Man series
Yeah.
are all on there as well. I think the only one that's now not is Spectacular.
Oh,
That I
it.
saw because I was thinking I started Spectacular and didn't finish it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go back and finish it, and then discovered that it's been taken off Disney Plus. But you can buy it digitally, so I was like, I might just pick it up so that I can finish it. Um, all of which is what leads us to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, this brand new version. Very unique, and I think unlike any of the other Spider-Man cartoons that came before it. We were both lucky enough to get to watch the whole season. So, as we are recording this, episodes 1 to 5 are available now. Episodes 6, 7, and 8 will premiere next Wednesday on Disney Plus, and then the final two episodes the week after. So, we're going to go possibly a little bit spoilery on the first half of the season, but um, you can easily have watched that already. And don't worry, we will be very spoiler light on the back half of the season. Let's go first impressions. What were your first impressions of this? Well,
I
actually, let's go before that. Before you watched it, going into that first episode, were you excited for it? What were your thoughts on it based on what we had seen?
I was curious, because it's intrigued even because
Hmm.
it's Spider-Man, it's a Marvel animated show. I want to like in my head, I want to like it, so I'm gonna give it the chance. But like you said, this started out when it was first announced very differently than what it has become and what it is
Yeah.
now as a show. Um, so I wasn't the most excited, but I also wasn't against it. And while I thought the first two, no, definitely the first two episodes were okay. I think if I had just gotten the first two episodes in advance, I would have dropped the show after that, to be
Interesting.
honest. At least until I've heard you or anyone else I trust going, no, this is actually good. You should keep going. Um, but thankfully, I had
Yeah.
the whole show. And as soon as the ending of episode two hits, where they literally recreate the shot composition and everything of the scene in Civil War with him coming home and all that, and then boom, there's someone with Aunt May, and this time is Norman Osborn. That dynamic was my favorite part of the show
Yeah.
by far. And I
Yeah.
think that's the one thing they didn't change from when it was conceptually
Yes.
initially going to be the
Yes.
Tom Holland Spider-Man. Because I really think that this dynamic works not just for the show, but it's a very interesting take on the Peter Parker story, on the becoming Spider-Man story. So all of that is fantastic. I think it builds its world and it treats its supporting cast in a way that we've not seen in a Spider-Man movie, in a Spider-Man show, um, any Spider-Man comic that I've read at least. Um, I think it just does a really good job at bringing all the elements that we already love from Spider-Man while being its own new thing and
Yeah.
going, here's the MCU Peter Parker that you know, and now we're gonna go this direction and hard pivot that way. So I
Yeah.
think it just does all things very interestingly. I don't think it's a great show yet, because by the finale, there's just a few things that is this going to be an issue going forward? It's going to be a problem that's going to get tricky for you to like solve and streamline. But I was surprised to have a show that really puts a smile on my face and captures Spider-Man in a very traditional but also very unique way.
Yeah. Yeah. I was anxious going in because I wasn't sure who this was for.
Mhm.
I didn't know whether this was for kids as an animated show, whether it was for adults in a kind of X-Men 97 way. I didn't know what it was. And because we saw from promo shots, I can't remember if we'd seen a trailer before we got the episodes or not, but because we had somehow seen that he was going to have a bunch of different costumes, I was really worried this was going to be a toy advert animated series.
Mm,
That's one thing that I can't buy into is a show that ends up just being to sell toys. Um, and so I went into it kind of anxious about what it was going to be. And then, like you, I wasn't totally sold on just the first episode by itself or the second episode until I got to that moment. And then I do think three, four, and five that just dropped this week, it ramps up across all three of them and leaves you at a point when you're at mid-season where you're like, ah, yeah, okay, I think I know what this is now, and I think I'm sold. And then the second half of the season, I was like, cool, yeah, I'm totally now on board. Um, Although I'm not 100% sold on the ending, a bit like you, there are a few things that I'm just not 100% sure of. But pretty much everything I thought it was going to be, it's not. But I'm
yeah,
still not entirely sure who it's for. Only because, like, it it is a bit kid friendly at times. But then you get stuff like there are a couple of character deaths that happen not necessarily fully on screen, but it's implied violence in a way that I think you wouldn't sit down a really young like toddler in front of it and go, "Cool, this is going to be your new favorite Spider-Man," because
yeah.
people are going to die.
Even
But then,
the fight with the Scorpion,
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
surprised me how dark it got.
yeah, yeah, and then but then there are certain other elements of it that skew the other way that are a bit kid friendly. That I was like, I just don't. I'm still not sh sure who it's for.
Yeah. I'm the same. There's even the way they go initially about the suits,
Yeah.
giving him the suits to try on. That was the thing where I was like, okay, are we just showing off commercials to sell toys? Like, what are we
So I
doing?
thought, I can't remember if I said this to you, but I thought that was going to be like a different suit every single week until
Yeah,
he
yeah, yeah, we
reached the
did
final
discuss
one.
that. We did mention
Um,
that.
so I was glad that that wasn't the case. The fact that they went through them all quite so quickly, I was a bit like, whoa, you're really like blasting through stuff here. I
And
do,
and and clearly, it's also a world where the Fantastic Four don't exist
yes,
because the Future Foundation suit is Norman Osborn who creates it.
yeah, yeah. I do appreciate the fact that some of the character stuff is really slow burn. So
Yeah.
Lonnie's story is cool right throughout the season. Like you, the relationship between the brilliant Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn, and Spider-Man and Peter is great as well. It's such I don't know. It does tease you because obviously we know what Norman Osborn would traditionally, what route he would traditionally go. Um, but I feel like they've written it so well that you almost, to a degree, kind of forget it, and you're like, oh, this is so. He has someone, like he
Yeah.
has a father figure, and then it's like, oh shit, but this isn't going to end well, is it? And obviously later in the season, some of that comes to play.
I'm surprised. How do I say this without spoilers? I'm surprised this first season solely focuses on Norman
Yeah,
and doesn't dive at all into the other side of who he is,
yeah,
like whatsoever.
yeah. It really like held back on that. You could almost feel that someone in the studio was probably like, suit him up, suit him up. And that other people are like, no, no, let's,
Relax,
yeah,
relax.
yeah. What
Next
about the
season.
animation style? There's like such a cool sort of Steve Ditko
Yeah,
pop art 60s influence on a very contemporary style of animation. Um,
yeah.
what were your
I uh,
thoughts on
I really love the style because, like you said, it's very retro, very Ditko, and Ditko basically defined Spider-Man in
that?
his early years. Once he was established to be Spider-Man, um, but the animation, there's something about the animation that always puts me off. Um, and it's nothing against the animators or anything.
Yeah,
It's very much a preference thing,
yeah,
and there's something about the animation. Like if Spider-Man is if he's fighting someone and he's wearing a mask and all that, no complaints.
yeah,
If you don't see anyone talking, no complaint. But there's something about the animation that they go for that there's something about the eyes and even the mouth when they talk. I spoke to you about this while we
yeah,
were watching it, and there's just something very off-putting visually about it for me. Where I'm like, I even some more intimate moments, I'm like, I wish I could connect more, but there's something about your faces that I don't like.
yeah. I
That
agree.
feels terrible to say.
No, I totally get what you mean, and it is a preference thing. It did take me a while to get used to it, and there are bits of it that I genuinely love. Sometimes it looks amazing, and you're like, wow, okay, no, I get why you went this route and why you stuck to your guns and doing this style and not being more traditional or doing it to look like anything else because it doesn't look like anything else that I watch anyway. Um,
Yeah.
but then there are moments where you're like, ooh, mm?
Yeah.
And I know people have kind of pulled some of the shots from the first episode and pointed out how the backgrounds don't move when sort of key things are happening. There are background characters that are still and not moving and stuff like that. But and none of that really bothered me in the moment. I think it's kind of a show that when you're watching it and you're in it, it sort of works to as best degree as it can. And maybe when you look at stills and pull it apart afterwards, sort of out of context in still form, it doesn't work quite so well. But I'm I am always happy to champion a show or a studio that does something different, even if it doesn't completely work for me. I would rather they try than just do the same thing over and over again.
I completely agree. I'm with you there.
So let's think second half of the season, which is kicking off next week with the next three episodes. We're at a point where Lonnie, spoiler alert for those who haven't quite watched 3, 4, and 5 yet, is now been named Tombstone. So you might make a connection there between who he is and the comics. We've kind of seen Spidey and Norman come to a point in their relationship where they're working relatively well together. May doesn't feel hugely involved in the story. I would kind of like to see more of May if she's anywhere near like what she was like in the films. Um, what were you most excited about in that, just to tease people in that second half?
Mm.
Yeah, we get.
So you just
Have
spoke
we?
about Lonnie being given the name
Yep.
officially Tombstone.
Yep.
Again, just like Norman and Peter in this show, Tombstone and Spider-Man have a very different relationship that
Yeah.
I've ever seen them have in the comics or the movies, or not the movies because Tombstone has never been in a movie, but any of the other animated shows. Um, it goes in a very interesting direction in the finale that I didn't expect. There's something that we've seen already in the show that okay, we're done with that. I didn't even give that a second thought because
Yeah.
we're ever gonna see that again. It'll be in the far, far future. Nope, it's now. Uh, um, so yeah, and those are the main main like takeaways in terms of what I really enjoy or what I most enjoyed. Something that I really enjoy that's sort of a side story is how they handled the friendship between Nico and
Yes.
Harry.
We haven't talked about
Um,
Nico. Yeah,
yeah.
she's an interesting inclusion.
hmm I had no idea. I was very confused because watching the episodes, I'm like, is that why is that person? And
Hmm.
what's the thing with putting him on here? What and granted, no spoilers, but by the end of the season, I'm still not sure why
Right?
Nico specifically was chosen to be added to a Spider-Man show. But I
Yeah.
am very interested because
Yeah.
I'm always interested in new dynamics. So Spider-Man dealing with magic and all that, that's going to be interesting at some point.
Yeah, and how do you feel about, I've gone slightly backwards from where we were, but about the fact that there is no Ned like we would have from the movies
Yeah.
or Gwen or MJ. I
I don't mind it at all.
appreciate it. It doesn't bother me.
No, not at all. It's like you said, it's a completely new Peter Parker.
Yeah.
This isn't the actual MCU Peter Parker, and we're dealing with the multiverse. So if you're gonna do things that are like completely like, oh, why is Nico in a Spider-Man show and all
Yeah.
that? If you're gonna do that in the
Do it.
context of the multiverse saga. I think
Yeah.
it's the perfect way to do it.
Yeah. I should have probably made some notes because I'm trying to think about things in that back half. I think it's just how much it flirts with Spider-Man legacy and tradition, but always does it differently, so you're never able to predict where the show's going to go.
Yeah,
I didn't at any point guess what was coming next. The only time I had an inkling was when we went into the finale, and there are moments from the season premiere that you circle back to in the finale. He says really carefully without trying to spoil anything. Um, that as soon as those start to happen, I was like, okay, I know what's happening here. And again, I think I messaged you and I was like, I'm on the last episode.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that we are, spoiler. And it that kind of played out exactly how it in my head I thought it was going to play out in the end, which was kind of a shame that it became predictable, but it was still fun to watch.
yeah. I didn't have any issues with it being predictable because it was just
No,
so entertaining. It was just so fun
exactly.
how they went around certain things, and got creative to tell a story that we've seen how many times in
Yep.
movies and animated shows and comics.
Yep, exactly. And to present it to us a bit differently. So I think fair play to it. And I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. I'm glad that there is a second season and by the sounds of it, probably also a third season as well. So they clearly, I hope, have a plan for where they want their story to go.
I agree, and hopefully it doesn't take them 2 years to put it out. Same with
Yeah, we don't
X-Men
really know
97.
where they are
Just
in
compare
process
that.
anymore, do we?
No, no, I have no idea. Even X-Men 97, I just remember them saying, "Oh, we have the new next 3 seasons planned out."
Yeah.
Okay, where are they?
I'm waiting. Marvel, please drop
Been a
now.
year now.
True. Oh my God, how has it been a year?
And
Oh,
yeah, that's the depressing part.
anything else on your, yeah, again, your friendly neighborhood, everyone's very friendly neighborhood Spider-Man? I can't think of anything else
I
I want to say actually.
I think there was something missing, uh,
Mm.
as to say like there's a mid-credit scene, and I think the mid-credit scene should have gone a little bit
Further.
farther. Like,
Yeah.
where are we going from here? Because like
Yeah.
the idea of putting these two pieces together, we've seen before. So are you going to be different? Are you just going to go? I don't mind either way. I just want to know which way are you going with this. Give us a sense of direction. But yes, for anyone watching, there is a mid-credit scene at the end of the season.
Yeah, make sure to hang around.
Yeah.
So, as I said at the top of this, you can watch the first 5 episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney Plus now. The next 3 episodes will drop next Wednesday, which is February the 12th, and then the final 2 episodes drop on February the 19th, just in time for you to have a little Marvel break. Go watch Cap again, maybe, before Daredevil Born Again drops in March, which I cannot wait for.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm
Me too.
so excited.
Me
If
too.
Fantastic Four is my most anticipated film of the year, Daredevil is my most anticipated TV show.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. That is probably my most anticipated show. I have to stick with Superman as my most anticipated movie. I can't.
That's more
I
than
can't.
fair.
It's in my
And
blood.
I am currently rewatching the original Daredevil
I need to
series.
do that actually. That's something I need to do before the new one starts.
Yeah, I'm almost done with season one, so it's gonna be a rush.
Awesome. Awesome. That just about wraps us up for this week. So thank you very much for joining
Thank
me. I
you.
am not at all surprised that we ran longer than I was planning to as we were recording this because there is just so much to talk about. Um, where can people find you? Just big up your projects and yourself for a minute.
You can find me on YouTube, on Twitter, on Letterboxd at Ren Geekness, where I review, talk movies, sometimes pro wrestling, because I also like that. Anything comic books and anything that's nerdy, I will celebrate. You can also find me on Instagram at RenVieira93, more of a personal account, but I always let you know what I'm watching when I'm watching it. Thank you so much for having me, Neil.
Honestly, like I could gush. You are one of my favorite people in. Do you know what? I'm not going
Feeling
to
is
say the
mutual.
multiverse. I'm going to say in the omniverse. We go beyond
Mm.
the multiverse to the
I,
omniverse.
I will take it, and I will proudly say it back to you because I
Thank
do
you.
mean
And so, if you want to find me, I'm on all social media platforms at Neil Vag. Please do check out Ren does also contribute to the website sometimes, so you can find some of his writings at getyourcomiccon.co.uk, which is where you can also find all of my stuff and all of the latest news and other episodes of the podcast. As always, please like, subscribe, do all of that stuff because it helps more people find us and get to listen to us talk about all our favorite geeky stuff. I actually don't know what is coming up next episode. It's going to be a surprise, but we have now planned out a bunch of future episodes. Um, so we've got some really good stuff coming down the pipeline, but you will just have to wait and see until then as to what they are going to be. But we're working on some fun stuff. So until next time, everyone, please do stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you soon. Bye.